Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Luna,
And I'm Mason.
and today we're tackling something that comes up all the time, whether you're learning English or you're a native speaker. How to actually describe, well, anything.
Exactly. It sounds simple, but think about it. You see something amazing, you want to tell someone about it, and sometimes the words just escape you. Or maybe you use the same few adjectives over and over again. We've all been there.
Totally. It's like you see the most breathtaking sunset, and all you can manage is, wow, it's pretty. Pretty just doesn't cut it, right?
Nope, not at all. So today we're going to give you some practical tips and tricks to expand your descriptive vocabulary and really paint a picture with your words. We want you to feel confident describing anything from a simple object to a complex emotion.
And we're going to keep it real, like we always do. This isn't going to be a dry grammar lesson. We'll be using examples, talking about how we approach descriptions, and hopefully having a little fun along the way.
Absolutely. So where do we even start? I think the first step is to really observe what you want to describe.
That's so true. It sounds obvious, but sometimes we just glance at something and think we've got it. But to describe it well, you need to engage your senses. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you smell, taste, or even feel if you can touch it?
Right. Let's take that sunset example again. Instead of just pretty, if you really look at it, what do you see? Maybe you notice the fiery orange melting into a soft lavender. Maybe there are streaks of gold and crimson across the clouds.
Ooh, I like that. Fiery orange melting into a soft lavender. That's so much more evocative than just pretty. You're using colors, but also movement, like melting.
Exactly, and it's not just about sight. Maybe there's a cool breeze picking up as the sun goes down, or the distant sound of birds flying home. All these sensory details can add layers to your description.
That makes sense. So step 1, really observe and engage your senses. What's step 2, Mason?
Step 2 is to think about the specific qualities or characteristics of what you're describing. What makes it unique? What are its key features?
Okay, let's say I want to describe my coffee mug. It's just sitting here on the table.
All right, don't just say it's a mug. What kind of mug is it? What shape is it? What color? What's the texture like?
Okay, well, it's a fairly large mug. It's cylindrical, a bit wider at the top than the bottom. It's a deep matte blue color. When I hold it, it feels smooth, but also has a slate grip to it.
See, already that's a much better description than just a mug. You've given us the size, the shape, the color, and even the feel of it.
Right. And I could go even further. It has a thick handle that's easy to grip. There's a tiny chip on the rim from when I accidentally knocked it over last week. Okay, maybe I don't need to mention the chip.
Haha, unless it adds to the story. But you see the point. Think about the details, even the small ones. What are the defining characteristics?
Got it. Observe and then identify key characteristics. What's next on our list of how to describe awesomeness?
Next, I think it's super helpful to use descriptive language, and that goes beyond just basic adjectives. Think about using similes and metaphors.
Oh, I love those. Can you remind everyone what they are?
Sure, a simile compares something to something else using like or as. For example, the water was as smooth as glass. A metaphor, on the other hand, says something is something else without using like or as. See, you could say the city was a concrete jungle.
Those are great examples. So instead of saying the music was loud, I could say the music was like a thunderclap, or the music was a tidal wave washing over us.
Exactly. Those comparisons create a much stronger image in the listener's mind. They help people understand the intensity of the sound in a more relatable way.
And it doesn't have to be dramatic all the time. You could say something like, the bread was as soft as a cloud, or his laughter was like a warm blanket.
Precisely. Similes and metaphors can add so much color and depth to your descriptions. They show your creativity and make a language more engaging.
Okay, so we've got observe, identify characteristics, and use figurative language. What else can we do to become description masters, Mason?
Another really important technique is to use a variety of adjectives and adverbs. Try to move beyond those basic everyday words.
Yes, we all fall into that trap, right? Good, bad, big, small. They're useful, but they don't always tell the full story.
Exactly. Think about synonyms and words with more specific meanings. Instead of big, could you say enormous, gigantic, massive, spacious, or voluminous? The choice depends on what kind of big you're trying to convey.
That's a great point. And it's not just about size. Think about feelings too. Instead of happy, you could say joyful, elated, content, or thrilled. Each of those words has a slightly different nuance.
Absolutely, and adverbs work the same way. Instead of just saying someone walked quickly, you could say they dashed, sprinted, sauntered, or ambled, depending on the pace and the feeling you want to create.
So it's about building your vocabulary and being mindful of the words you choose. It's like having a bigger palette of colors when you're painting a picture with words.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to use a thesaurus or look up synonyms when you're trying to find a more precise or interesting word. It's all part of expanding your descriptive toolkit.
That's great advice. So far, we've got observe with your senses, identify key characteristics, use similes and metaphors, and employ a wide range of vocabulary. What's the next tip for our viewers?
I think it's really helpful to focus on creating a dominant impression. What's the main feeling or idea you want to convey when you're describing something?
Oh, that's interesting. So instead of just listing a bunch of details, you have a central theme in mind.
Exactly. Let's say you're describing a storm. You could talk about the rain, the wind, the thunder, the lightning, but what's the overall impression you want to create? Is it a violent, destructive storm, or is it a cleansing, refreshing rain shower?
I see what you mean. If I want to emphasize the violence of the storm, I might use words like relentless, ferocious, pummeling, and deafening.
Right, and if you want to focus on the refreshing aspect, you might use words like invigorating, cleansing, soothing, and rhythmic. Even though you're describing the same basic phenomenon, the words you choose create a very different feeling.
That's a powerful technique. So before you even start describing, think about the main feeling or idea you want your audience to take away.
Exactly. It helps you to select the most relevant and impactful details in vocabulary.
Okay, we're building up a great set of tools here. We've talked about observation, characteristics, figurative language, vocabulary, and creating a dominant impression. What's another key element to consider when describing things effectively?
I think it's important to consider your audience and your purpose. Who are you describing this to and why?
That makes total sense. If I'm describing a new phone to a tech enthusiast, I'm going to use very different language than if I'm describing it to my grandma.
Precisely. The tech enthusiast will probably be interested in the specs, the processor speed, the camera resolution. Your grandma might be more interested in how easy it is to use and whether the buttons are big enough.
And the purpose of your description also matters. Are you trying to persuade someone to buy something? Are you trying to evoke a memory? Are you just trying to inform someone? Your goal will influence the details you choose to emphasize.
Absolutely. If you're writing a travel blog and describing a beautiful beach, you'll probably focus on the visual aspects, the feeling of the sand, the sound of the waves, things that will make your readers want to be there.
Whereas if you're writing a scientific report about the same beach, you'd focus on things like the sand composition, the wave patterns, the local ecosystem.
Exactly. So always keep your audience and your purpose in mind when you're crafting your descriptions.
Okay, we're really getting into the nitty-gritty of descriptive language now. We've covered a lot of ground. What's another tip that can help our viewers elevate their descriptions?
I think it's important to focus on showing, not just telling. This is a classic piece of writing advice, but it applies to spoken descriptions as well.
Oh, I know this one. It means instead of saying the dog was happy, you describe its actions that show happiness, like The dog's tail wagged furiously and it bounced around with a big goofy grin.
Exactly. You're painting a picture with actions and visual details instead of just stating a feeling.
So if I wanted to describe a delicious cake, instead of saying the cake was delicious, I could say something like, the rich chocolate aroma filled the air, and each bite was a moist, decadent explosion of flavor that melted in my mouth.
Perfect. You're engaging the senses, smell, taste, touch, and using strong descriptive words to convey the deliciousness. You're showing us what made it delicious, not just telling us it was.
That makes a huge difference. It makes the description so much more vivid and engaging.
It really does, and it's something you can consciously practice. Whenever you're about to use a simple adjective, ask yourself, how can I show this instead?
I like that challenge. Okay, so we've got observe, identify characteristics, use figurative language, expand vocabulary, create a dominant impression, consider audience and purpose, and show, don't just tell. What's our final tip for part 1, Mason?
For our final tip for part 1, I think it's important to remember the power of rhythm and flow in your language.
Rhythm and flow? Tell me more.
Think about the way your words sound together. Do they create a smooth, pleasing effect, or is it clunky and awkward? Varying your sentence structure and using different lengths of sentences can make your descriptions more interesting and engaging to listen to.
That makes sense. If all your sentences are short and choppy, it can sound a bit robotic. But if they're all long and complex, it can be hard to follow.
Exactly. Mixing it up keeps your audience engaged. You can use shorter sentences for impact and emphasis, and longer, more descriptive sentences to build a more detailed picture.
So it's not just about the words you choose, but also how you put them together.
Absolutely. And pay attention to the sounds of the words themselves. Sometimes using words with alliteration or assonance can add a subtle musicality to your descriptions.
Alliteration is when words start with the same sound, like slippery slope. And assonance is the repetition of vowel sounds, like the rain in Spain falls mainly on the plain.
Exactly. These techniques can add a little extra flair and memorability to your descriptions.
Wow, that's a lot to think about. We've covered so many different aspects of how to describe anything effectively in English. From observing with your senses to considering rhythm and flow, there's a real art to it.
There is, and like any art, it takes practice. But hopefully these tips will give our viewers a solid foundation to build on.
I think so too. And remember, it's okay to experiment and find your own descriptive voice. Don't be afraid to try out new words and techniques.
Definitely. And don't worry if it doesn't come naturally at first. The more you practice, the better you'll become at painting vivid pictures with your words.
All right, I think that's a great place to wrap up part 1 of our conversation on how to describe anything in English. We've got a lot more to discuss, so make sure you stick around for part 2.
Yes, in part 2, we'll be diving deeper into some specific examples and talking about how to describe abstract concepts and emotions. You won't want to miss it.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone, and let us know in the comments what your biggest challenges are when it comes to describing things in English. We might even address them in a future video.
See you in part 2.
Bye for now.